Hey senior citizens, nice to be with you today. I'm Michael Scott, I'm your host on Seniors in Action, and it's good to have you with us. Today we're going to talk about obstructive sleep apnea. Unfortunately, that's something that is impacting me, and it impacts many of you. And some of you aren't even aware that you have sleep apnea, so we're going to talk about some of the symptoms today, some of the things that some of the complications that may come out of it, and what some of the how you diagnose it, and what some of the remedies are for it. As we do that, though, I need to tell you that I'm not a medical professional, and this is not medical advice, so I don't want to get sued over this little video that I'm doing. But so just be aware of that. I'm a certified public accountant, but I do have sleep apnea, so I feel like I can talk about it. So look at the symptoms, some of the symptoms. This is from the Mayo Clinic, and loud snoring, but snoring is not necessarily evidence that you have sleep apnea, but it is one of the symptoms. Episodes where you stop breathing. Now, somebody's going to have to tell you that, because if you stop breathing, you're not going to know it yourself. Gasping for air during sleep. You know, my daughter-in-law is a nurse, and she was over one time, and I was taking a nap in the bedroom, and she happened to mention that I was kind of gasping when I was sleeping, and she heard me through the door and down the hall, and she said that's a sign of sleep apnea. And prior to that, I had gone to my doctor, and he had a poster up on the wall, and I turned to him and I said, you know, doctor, I've got every one of those things. And I did have almost all of those symptoms of sleep apnea and some of the complications. And so he said, well, we'll have to have you have a sleep study one of these days. And so I did go ahead and have a sleep study ordered, and sure enough, I did have sleep apnea. And so awakening with a dry mouth. You know, I do that more now that I'm on a BiPAP machine than I did when before I ever got a BiPAP machine. But morning headaches. I had morning headaches all the time. That was one of the symptoms. And you see on the front page, that was one of the symptoms that we put out there. I still have morning headaches, even with the BiPAP machine. Difficulty staying asleep, insomnia. I think that's probably true. Excessive daytime sleepiness. I don't have that anymore. I'm not falling asleep all the time anyway. And difficulty paying attention while you're awake. My wife would say that I do. Irritability. I am never irritable, although my wife would tell you that I might be irritable once in a while, but I really don't think that that even describes me. Now, so let's take a break here, and let me better serve you. Leave me a comment. Let me know what your biggest problem is in senior living, and I'll prepare a video on it, do some investigation in it, and hopefully I can help you solve your problem. All right, let's review some of the complications. You know, I have a good friend that had a sleep study, was diagnosed with severe sleep apnea, and got a CPAP machine. He didn't like it. He refuses to wear it. And I think, man, when I see some of these complications, I don't know that I would refuse to do that CPAP machine and wear the mask. High blood pressure is one of them. Heart disease, type 2 diabetes, weight gain, adult asthma, acid reflux, possibility of car accidents. These things are all from WebMD. And you know, one of the symptoms of sleep apnea that I had that really bothered me before I got the CPAP machine, and it has been corrected to some degree from the CPAP machine, was nocturia, and that's having to get up in the middle of the night and go to the restroom. So if you're doing that, you might think about talking to your doctor about the possibility of having sleep apnea, because you get up 10 to 16 times a night, and it's just not the best way to have a good night's sleep. So that is a symptom that wasn't mentioned on the list before. All right, diagnosis, usually a sleep study. Sometimes just the symptoms that you have, you could pretty much diagnose the fact that you have a sleep study. But in order to get you a BiPAP and stuff and get Medicare, if you're on Medicare, to pay for this thing, or insurance, you're going to have a sleep study. And there's various types of sleep studies. Some are in-home sleep studies. The two that I've had have both, I've been to a sleep lab in both cases, spent the night there. I don't know how they expect you to sleep when you go there, because you're wired up like you see this guy in the picture here is all wired up. And I bet the first time I went, I had 40 wires hooked to me in my chest and my legs and my head. The second time wasn't quite as bad, not quite as many wires, maybe only 20 or so. But so with all that stuff on you, it's a little bit hard to sleep, but they don't need you to sleep all night. They just need you to sleep maybe an hour, 2 hours. Sometimes they'll talk about a split sleep study where they will test you for sleep apnea, and then they will have you come back and test you with a BiPAP machine or a CPAP machine on to see whether those are helping you or not. And that would be a split sleep study. But in both cases, I've done all mine in one night, which is very nice. All right, the treatment. You may get a CPAP machine. There's a ResMed sleep-app machine like you see. It's a little different than the one I have. I've actually got a BiPAP. I started with a CPAP, and it wasn't quite doing the job, so I had to go to a BiPAP, and that seems to be doing the job well now. So CPAP machine, BiPAP machine, you can. Some people will get an oral appliance from their dentist, and that will help. Losing weight helps a great deal. I had a friend that lost 60 pounds, and that helped his sleep apnea a great deal. They do have surgery for some types of sleep apnea. There is nerve stimulation, where they actually plant a device in your chest, and that stimulates nerve so that when your tongue is starting to slip back, it comes forward so that you can breathe. And then they've got medications that could possibly help as well. But the most common treatment that you see used for sleep apnea is a CPAP machine. And they've got different kinds of masks with the sleep apnea machine, so you might try a different mask if it's not working for you. I don't like my BiPAP machine. I didn't like my CPAP machine, but I wear them just because of the complications, and they do help me sleep better. I don't find them comfortable. I don't find my mask comfortable, but you know, that's the way life is sometimes. So I grin and I don't grin very much. I bear it. Anyway, I complain a little bit. My wife would tell you a whole bunch, but not true. So one of the things you need to be aware of, though, if you do get a CPAP machine or you get a sleep study, they will take what's called an AHI evaluation, and that's the apnea-hypopnea index. Okay, and that's how they measure the degree of your sleep apnea. So you'll see here that none to minimum is under 5 apneas or hypopneas an hour. Mild is under 15. Moderate is under 30, and then severe is 30 and over. And of course, when I had mine, I was up at 32. I was severe, and so I did get a CPAP machine right off the bat. But you know, when you get your CPAP machine, some people some of the organizations that you get it through will not tell you these numbers. And actually, I mean, I've got a Philips CPAP machine, and they have a app for your smartphone, and you can open up that smartphone, or you can open up your CPAP machine, and it'll tell you what your AHI is. So if your organization that you get it through doesn't have that open, that is a capability, and you should have them open it up for you so you know what your AHI is and whether you've improved or not. And I find it very interesting to see what my AHI is even every evening. And you know, when I first started, it was 32, and I went to my first provider. They got it down to maybe 10. And they were happy with it being under 10. And then I went to another provider, and for some reason it had gone up to 16 or 17 every night. And 16 or 17 apneas per hour is not very good. So They finally did another sleep study and gave me a BiPAP machine, and now I'm generally under 5, and I do sleep better. So there are things that can be done if your CPAP doesn't work real good for you. Tell them, and maybe they'll give you another mask. Maybe they'll have another sleep study for you, and you might need a BiPAP machine instead of a CPAP machine. But they are willing to work with you, and some people actually need oxygen as well as just the machine. They need to have oxygen at night. Anyway, with that in mind, you did see on the front where we're still offering, for those of you that have watched this video, a free life coach session. That offer ends on June 5th, 2020. Bonnie is a life coach specializing in parents dealing with adult children and grandchildren. She also specializes in small business coaching and is a life coach and a CPA, and she's very good. So you need to take advantage of this opportunity because once you miss out, it's not going to be there for anymore, and she'll certainly charge for that initial visit. So send her an email at hello@getyourlightback.com and request your free session, and she will go ahead and contact you and set up a time. It's been nice to have you here. Thank you for liking and subscribing this channel, and stay healthy and active. And again, give me any comments about videos that you'd want to see in the future and things that you're doing to stay active as a senior. This channel is about seniors in action, and so we all want to be busy and active.